everybody. My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
I'm Burke.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is Get Dunked On, the podcast.
I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. It's appropriate for today.
You're appropriate for today.
What? No, that is. It's a little country. I know we all love country here and in this podcast, but you know.
Especially based on the story that Burke just told. Yeah, totally. So I've got a problem. 2 days ago, I woke up. And
that is a problem.
That's a problem. Huge problem right there.
Oh man, disaster struck.
I woke up and I'm sitting there going, I'm kind of stretching my left arm and I'm going like, shit. My elbow kind of hurts, right? I'm like, oh, whatever. I must have been, and I literally was when I woke up, my head was on my elbow. So I'm going, okay, I must have just been laying on it weird. I am hopped up on every form of quill, just depending on what part of the day it is, either day or night quill. And just, so I know I knocked out and probably just slept through my arm being numb the entire night. I know that was kind of the case. I was like, shit, well, that just kind of hurts, you know? And so throughout the entire day, I'm sitting there going, okay, it's not getting better. Wake up this morning, I'm like, okay, well, today's going to be the day. I gave it a full day. It's going to be kind of at least a dull pain rather than like the actual sharp, it feels like ligaments are grinding against each other type of pain that I had yesterday. Nope, it's just getting worse. I'm sort of looking at it, I'm like,
it's on a decline?
Yes, it's getting worse. It's not even getting better. And it's just one spot. And the weird thing is it feels almost exactly like overuse that I used to have when I was playing baseball, throwing with my right hand. The elbow portion, and it's hard for me to kind of show or tell in the actual like audio portion of it, but at least like there's like a ligament or something all around right in this area.
On the inside,
of the elbow, like it's a joint or ligament or something around there, used to always start like kind of inflaming and getting it'd start hurting.
Is that Tommy John surgeries? That's where that does.
It actually might be. It might be the I think it's not it's the, I don't know what fucking tendon is off the top of my head, but that's pretty much the type of injury that happens, is that ligament snaps. But that's kind of where I'd get the pain, and so I always knew like, okay, I got to back off because I don't want to snap that ligament. And that's exactly where this pain was. Guys, you guys know this. I don't do shit, so I have no idea what the fuck is going on. And it's just like one of those things. I'm like, God damn it, I'm getting old. Things are just hurting because I slept the wrong way.
Well, no, you had to have been leaning on something, right?
That's what you would think. Like the most it could have been was my own head, and with a pillow in between, like a big, thick.
That's it. There's not like a thing like where maybe you're like at a desk or something like that.
No. I wish I could show you, but like I don't sit with my elbows on the table. They actually sit off my desk. It's like an L desk, and they sit off. And I don't do it at any offices either. There's nothing. Sure. I have no idea. why it hurts.
I thought this story was going in a different direction of like, and then I remembered that I had, fought a bear yesterday, and I'm forgetting things. Thus, I'm getting old. Like I thought that's where you were going with this.
No, I'm just old and it hurts.
That's what happens when you turn 30.
Just it's disgusting.
Stuff starts breaking and not fixing.
You guys are crazy. No, you got to just bounce right back. It's just everybody can just bounce right back, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, totally.
So did I tell it on this podcast of when I like dislocated my ring finger? I don't remember if I did or didn't.
I don't remember it, but just in case, I think you should tell it.
So I was hiking. I don't know. It was the first weekend in October, as I remember it. And so I had, we were coming down, we slept on, we're in a tent, but we slept on snow. So it was icy and snowy up on the mountain. Fucking beautiful. But I'm coming down, have my, 50-pound pack on. We're coming down, and there's this big kind of like 4-foot drop off that's, fairly steep. And I saw ice on it. So I was like, let me go around it and try to find another way down. Yeah, that didn't happen. I slipped on some more ice that I didn't see.
No.
And slipped and just fell 4 feet down, and I kind of slid on my back. But the thing was, it was on my left, and so I'm kind of falling down left, and I stuck my right arm out to kind of slow the fall a little bit and caught my ring finger on my right hand. And so, I'm a big guy, 220 some odd pounds, and then plus 50 pounds, so 300 pounds. Oh, sorry, I'm not 250, I'm 220, but so 260, 70 pounds. fall on my one finger. And needless to say, it was when I was looking at the back of my hand, it was pointed, 45, 50, 60 degrees to the right. And I'm in the middle of the mountain, so I just pop it right back in. Don't think anything of it. Well, I think so. Anyways, and then an hour drive later to civilization. Finally, go. By that time, I'm like, okay, I'm good. Whatever. I drove home. Finally, go to the ER, or not the ER, just an urgent care, and they go, nope, you're fine. But I don't know if y'all can see my finger right now. Looking at it, like, yeah, it's still fucked up.
They lied to you. They said you were good.
It still hurts.
Hold up your other hand. Hold up your other hand by comparison.
Let's see here.
One of these things is not like...
For anybody that knows the shape of Dumbledore's wand, it kind of looks like that, where it's just this long, skinny, and then all of a sudden there's this fat knot right in the middle of it. I guess it's the elder wand, technically. Is the one we see,
but only on one side, where the bone basically stuck out is where it's still, and I still can't fold my hand in completely, like this, my ring finger still sticks out when I try to make a fist, and I'm like, every once in a while I hit the knuckle and I just feel pain. I'm like, Jesus. Like, I remember I dislocated my shoulder a couple years ago, and it would hurt like if I slept wrong, like Craig. But outside of that, even 15 to 20 days later, that's the only time I really felt the pain. Now I'm sitting here and it's been 2 months and I'm going, oh, fuck. Like, please heal.
Michelle, are you falling apart at the seams, or are you okay?
Yeah, totally fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with anything right now. I don't have multiple issues. So I actually have a similar story to Burke's. My finger has since healed, though. I'm double checking too. Like, it does look a little weird to me, but I dropped a 40-pound tub of cat litter on my middle finger. And like, it hurt for months and months and months, and I had actually gone to urgent care for something completely unrelated, and I was like, yeah, like, I did this like, I don't know, 13 months ago, and it still kind of hurts. Like, and they pretty much did the same thing. They were like, nah, you're fine. And eventually, like a couple months later, the pain did stop for good, and I haven't had any since, but it took a long ass time for my finger to stop hurting. But like, no, currently I have no idea what happened. Like Craig's elbow thing, my ankle's been bothering me for like 5 days now, which is great because I'm on my feet for 9 hours a day at work.
Sure.
But that's been bothering me. No idea, what's wrong with it. I'm just like, I just want to die, and I probably also have a bladder infection, but
good times.
Like all adults, not going to the doctor.
Yeah. Well, let's say that. I mean, knock on wood. By comparison, I feel like I'm doing okay. Not that I'm not, but not that. Granted, definitely, like, it's one of those things where I actually, I grew out of some issues. That I had. Like, I used to have a lot of pain in my chest. Specifically in the rib cage, right through the sternum. Actually, the area where the rib bones actually connect to the sternum would get highly inflamed, and it would feel as though someone was driving multiple knives into my chest, and it was really bad. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of grown out of that, and so that at least that's gone, more or less gone for the most part. But the only thing that I will say that has crept up on me every once in a while is my back will get to me sometimes, but that's only because I think that I am dumb, and instead of sitting with proper posture or something like that, I'll be hunched over a little bit. And if I do that like for like a night, the next morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm paralyzed. This is a problem.
Yeah, the thing, like, backs are so sensitive. Like, I've had a back problem for a couple of years now, and like, I will literally sneeze too hard and my back's out.
That's not good.
It's so bad.
Oh, mine's that.
Someone throws pepper at her. She's like, my back, before it even hits her.
It's not to that point, but there's problems when I sneeze. I like my back will crack in about 19 different spots when I sneeze. Feels like everything just compresses and just snaps. But your brother, Brian, last night was just talking to me about, he was like, oh man, my back's hurting. And he was saying, because we were playing Rocket League, and he was like, but I can't I can't readjust myself because we're playing competitive and I have to sit a certain way to like get in the mindset to play competitive. And I was like, I had to start doing that purely because of the same thing Michelle was doing, where I had to go through. I used to always be, I'd be leaning forward with my elbows on my knees, controller in hand, like getting right into the face of my TV to play like competitive games and whatnot. I like, single player, I'll say quote casual, kind of like adventures and stuff like that I could lean back for. But like if I was playing competitive, I had to lean forward to get focused. And I had to teach myself when I moved here to be like, nope, you're leaning back at all times, because if you sit forward too much nowadays, your body's like, well, remember how I worked yesterday? Not today. So now I've got it where I've got this ergonomic chair and I have to lean back. Otherwise it doesn't make sense to me to play anymore.
So yeah, like I have a couple backstories, and so I guess we can just go ahead and say, guess what we're talking about today, guys?
Aches and Pains. Aches and Pains, the podcast.
And getting old too.
Yeah, getting
old, and yeah, that I'm only 30, and I'm like, fuck me. Of course, I'm about to turn 31. Oh, fuck me. Anyways, so back pain. Back to that. Like I was what, 22 at the time, maybe 23. And I remember I leaned down in the morning to grab my keys, like because they fell out of my pocket or something. They were on the ground. I was at home and I leaned down and my back just went pop. And then the rest of me followed and just collapsed on the floor. And it was probably the worst day to do it because I had planned to go shooting with a bunch of friends and whatnot. And I was like, it was on not my land, but a friend's land. So I had to be there. So I'm like, well, crap. So I just get out and, I don't know if you've ever shot a gun before, but us in Texas, we shoot a lot, and so just to say, we're just shooting, and it's jarring. It's not the easiest thing. Yeah, so I shot a few things for a competition we were doing, and got qualified for the next round of stuff because we were just having fun. Yeah, needless to say, I was like, I'm out. Someone else can go in. I couldn't do it. Like every shot was just pain going down. Of course, then 3 weeks later, I'm still hurting, probably because of the shooting. But I'm going to go to what Craig was talking about as well, was the ergonomics of the chair. Like I know I don't have the best posture, and I force myself to sit back and lean back in chairs because of that. Because if I don't do that, I hunch over. Like I will be the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and like that's why, like, even when recording this podcast, if I'm not standing or even sitting up, like I lean back. And so like I always have my chair propped back. Like I have my TV above all my main monitors. It's sitting at like a 10-degree angled at me. So I'm forced to lean back.
I thought that was just a safety measure. So if you fell asleep, you didn't fall out of your chair.
That is true. It also helps me fall asleep while gaming.
Yeah, that's bold. No, okay, so we talked a little bit about like aches and pains and what have you, but like, what about in other aspects of your life? Like as far as the getting older thing, do you notice it anywhere else, or is it even an issue? Like, for example, do you find yourself walking along saying, "Get off the lawn, you young punks," and that sort of thing, and hitting him with a hose, or what do you do?
So get off the lawn. So yeah, when I was at my old house before I moved here, there was every single family around us had little, I guess little kids, and they would always just be so loud, and I would just be sitting or be doing something outside, and they'd come up into my garage. I'm like, get away, you little kids. I don't want to play with you. Like, I just want to have a cigar, like sitting there, or a pipe or something. So their parents are like, don't go over there. Don't go over there.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, go away. And now I live across from a daycare. And it's quieter.
Is it what?
Like, I mean, and the kids are out, obviously not today because it's like 20 degrees, but like they're always out during the afternoon and I cannot hear them. Like if I was at my old house, I would be able to hear them in the basement, just ridiculously loud.
Well, okay, let's do this. Let's break it up by category, because like to me, I think that kids have like, there's categories of like, for age brackets where I'm like, little kids I find to be charming and adorable, right? Teenage, like when I say teenage, I'm talking like tweeners is a better way to put it. Tweeners I find to be a 50-50 shot. Some of them are kind of okay. Some of them are just like the world's worst human beings. And then beyond that, like, you know, like when you get to like high school age, then my distaste for them grows exponentially. Like, so like the younger the kid, the more I'm inclined to be like, I like you, kid. The older the kid, the more I'm like, you punk, pull your pants up, kind of thing, you know? I don't know. Do you guys experience that?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Like,
I'm not alone.
No, I'm opposite, because I feel like I have nothing in common with the child, because if whoever I'm talking to doesn't understand sarcasm and random pulls from pop culture, like I can't communicate. I have no ability to communicate with them. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. And the kid's like, it is. I'm like, God, they don't get it. I have a really hard time communicating. I mean, I feel like I have a hard time communicating even with my niece and nephew, who are family and blood, that are supposed to just be inherently some form of communication between us, just because of that. And it's tough there. I mean, luckily, they're starting to kind of get it, but it's still, I have a lot better time. I'm not saying I necessarily every single kid, like as the older you get, the more I have. It's just the closer you are to my age, it's just a lot easier for communication. I have trouble outside of that. Like if you get outside 15 years from me, we just have completely different viewpoints on everything. And
that's in either direction, basically, too.
You get too much older. They're like, oh yeah, well, I'm doing this with this form of, and we have friends, or we have other things with this, but well, I'm doing this with the money management, and I'm withdrawing it from my AARP, and I'm like, what? I have no idea. I'm playing Halo tonight, and then the kids underneath are like, oh, Halo, wasn't that really old game that came out for the Xbox, that like system, like 19 years ago? I'm like, I'm so lost and alone right now.
Well, oh man, like yeah. So, okay. Michelle, what about you? Sorry,
I am kind of, I guess, in the middle. Like, I would say that my thing is the older I get, the more apathetic I get to everything. Like, it's not a hatred or love. It's just like I don't care. And I think that's a combination of getting older and my job. Like, I think that both of those are a factor in that. Because I spend a lot more time with a lot more people than, probably any of you do. So
do you have anything that, okay, so I kind of tying in what you just said with what Craig said, though, like with a little kid, right? Little kids, running around wanting to talk about like, I love Spider-Man kind of thing, you could sit there and you talk to them and you're not exactly having a full on intelligent conversation, but it's kind of a fun interaction because
no, I totally can do that. Like there are times where children at work will make my day. And then there's times that I'm like, this is the reason I don't have kids right now.
Of course.
I mean, it just kind of varies by the child. I do get along very well with my nephew. And I was pretty adamant on teaching him sarcasm pretty early. So most of the time he picks up on my sarcasm because like I kind of taught him to, but my sister's not really a fan of that either because now she's like, now he's sarcastic. I'm like,
you're like, yeah, I know. Just the way I planned it.
Well, I see no problem.
Well, I mean, like the thing is that with like a little kid, you could tell, like as kind of going back to what Craig says, like if you tell a kid like, hey, the sky is blue, they're like, okay, and they learn something new, the sky is blue, right? But the problem is that the older the kid, like, so once we get to talk to that, like, high school age, like if I try to tell them something like, like that I know to be an actual fact, like I'm trying to teach them something, the less likely they are willing to not only accept it, learn it, and what have you, but they're more willing to fight me on it, even if they're wrong. You know what I mean?
See,
and I think that's where my disconnect comes in.
I think that is where your disconnect, because you're still trying to teach these people, like with the kids. Yeah, you could teach them. I'm not trying to teach these people anything. I'm trying to make them laugh, and that's it. Like I have nothing to give these people that will be helpful in their own lives. So I'm like, if I can make them laugh, maybe they'll forget that their lives are crappy at some point. If they are, I don't know.
Well, okay, but I mean, like it doesn't have to be, I'm not saying I'm over there trying to teach them algebra or something, because the hell they could teach me that. But that's not the point. Like the point, like I'm not trying to I'm saying, like, for example, like if I talk to a high schooler this is true a number of years ago, I had gone to a high schoolers. What are they called? The post-graduation party things. What are they called?
We call them open houses,
That's
but
it. Open houses. I couldn't think of that term.
no one else calls them open houses. Basically, outside of Michigan and maybe some surrounding areas.
So
everybody else went a graduation party. It's I guess
they have these graduation party things. It's in Michigan.
Okay,
they're a really
what
big
the fuck
deal.
are we talking about?
Yeah. In Michigan, they're kind of a big deal. But basically, when you graduate from high school, you throw a party, or your parents throw the party for you, whatever. But the point is that everyone comes over and they they give you a little card and a check or something like that to go toward your college fund or whatever it is. And you say, "Oh, what are you doing post school?" Whenever I would get invited to these things, I would ask them like, "What are you going to do?" And then they'd say, "I'm going to college." And I'm like, "What are you going to do there?" Like, I have no idea. I'm like, "Stop. Let me tell you my tale." And I go through the whole explanation of like, this is what I screwed up on in college because I didn't pick a major. Don't do what I did wrong. And I'm trying to teach them something like that. They're like, "Shh, that won't happen to me, old man." And I'm like, "Fuck you, kid." I'm like, "I'm trying to help you." Like,
I'm gonna play the middleman here. In their slight defense, there are certain things that I feel like you have to experience for yourself before you believe that that's actually like a reality.
Yeah, and like I can get as soon as you start saying like, "Oh," and then I just know what I experienced. I'm like, you can't teach experience to anybody, especially kids, because I mean, that's just one of those things where it feels like no matter what, you're always going to be like, "Oh, well, that was your experience. That's not going to be my experience." Like, yeah, well, you don't understand. I'm coming from this is probably 75% of the population by numbers alone. That will be your experience, but whatever. And like you said, whatever. Fuck me. I'm the bad guy on this one. But like it's just, and I don't think I would ever attempt to even try and teach a high schooler anything about here's what happened in my life. You should do it differently. It's just like, whatever.
I only do that because I do have some high school employees or some people who are fresh out of high school that are employees, and like they will ask me questions, and that's when I will provide like that stuff. But if I were to do it unprovoked, they'd be like, "I'm not going to this."
I'm not stopping in at random people's open houses and being like, "Attention, everyone!" Like these are people that I know like, and stuff. So
that person, I'm saying the kid that you used as an example, it didn't sound like that kid asked you what your college experience was.
Well, they did. I cut it out,
saying,
but they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the way you put it was like, "Oh, like I don't know what I'm doing," and then you're like, "Wait,
no." They had asked me the question,
idea.
and I gave them the answer, but they didn't like my answer. So their response was, "You're wrong," and hee haw. And I'm like, "That's not true. None of that is true." Burke, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You had some.
Yeah, you think I remember that? I do not remember. Let's go. I do remember. So like, I have my niece and nephew. One of them's autistic, and I think 4, and one of them's 7 or 8, I don't know, one of those two. So like those kids, like I can converse with and get along. And some of the neighbors around here are kids. Like one of them drives a little motorcycle around and saw mine and was like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's have some fun." Like that's like once I get to know a kid, I'm cool. But it's that stranger, I'm like, "Dude, shut your kids up." That's me, I guess. So kind of grouchy in that aspect. But like the millennials and high schoolers or whatever they're called these days, no, I don't get it, like, at all. I can't converse in any sort of manner, especially in here. I guess it's a little bit different. It's a completely different, mindset from the South. It's a little bit more open, and everyone is PC, and it's quite amazing to what people will, I guess, put up with in the face of not having a confrontation as well. And I feel like I'm kind of rambling, but anyways, so that comes to a story, like. There was it was yesterday. I was getting off the train and people were just piling out. And here comes this little millennial trying to push through all these people to get on the train. And everyone's just like looking at him like, what are you doing? And I go, "Dude, get the fuck over there and wait and stop being an asshole." And I'm like, and everyone else was like, "Yeah, nice." Like they could have toned it down, but I'm like, I don't care. Like, learn some fucking respect, learn some manners, and then after that, get on a bus. And there's this girl. She's got her earbuds in and is singing, and it's like all monotone. Oh yeah, and it's all monotone. And I'm like. And so everyone's just looking at her, and these old ladies in the back are like, "What's wrong with millennials?" And I'm like, I'm kind of wondering. I just go, I look at her, and go, "What are you singing for us?" she turned bright red and ignored us and stopped singing. And I was just like, come on, people.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my experience because it's all like offset, but like I feel like I'm the old grouchy old man now. So
you are the get off my lawn guy, sort of. Okay, and that's what I was kind of wondering is if any of us had made that official transition into that.
I don't think I'm the off the lawn thing. I think I'm too much of that. Like, whatever. If that's what people want, go ahead. I don't really care. There's not too many. There are a lot of things that do annoy me, but I don't feel like there's too many things where I feel like it's an age difference things that annoys me with people. I get annoyed by vernacular at times, but I have to remind myself, like, hey, I guarantee you there was the same things that I would say as a child growing up, like different little things here and there, but I think that's about the only thing. And I try and purposely go, hey, if they want to go through and do hey, it's lit fam. I'm sure I said stupid stuff.
It's lit fam.
like that type of speak, whatever. I don't even know what it's called because I'm too old to understand. But like, I don't get it. And I have to go through and like go to Google and look it up and see if it's on Urban Dictionary or whatever website will keep track of like the current lingo. Sure. I have to like go and do that, and I get annoyed with them. Like, why can't everybody just use proper English? And I'm going, well, I probably didn't use proper English when I was growing up, and I just didn't realize it because that's how we talk. That's how we talk to each other. I guarantee you, my dad was like, "Stupid little shit, motherfucker."
Yeah,
but I do remember the stage. I guess it was in college, towards a little bit afterwards, where you were always like, it was the opposite extreme. It was like, don't say BRB. You would always type out "be right back." Like there was no G2G. It was got to go.
Yeah, that was right when it started coming around, and it annoyed the shit out of me. Like people would shorten everything. Mm-hmm. I still honestly do get annoyed. Obviously, I use like the BRB stuff because I think it's funny now because it's transitioned from like it was an annoyance and now it's like lol BRB, and I say it purposefully because I think it's annoying and stupid, but it's like that part of funny portion of it.
You realize that us saying lol ironically now is so dated that lol isn't really even barely a thing anymore. Like comparatively, everyone's like, it's, as Burke said, it's a total, that's lit fam. It's like, that's straight fire. I'm like, why is everything burning in your world? Like,
I literally had to go to online and look up because people are like, "Oh, it's Gucci fam." I'm like, the fuck does that mean?
Oh yeah,
I had to
so
go.
Gucci.
I had to literally go look it up. I'm like, I know that as a brand. I know Gucci as a brand. I don't know what happened. Where did this transfer?
I would love to. I'd love to for us to try to like market our own. Like Gucci is. Like the expression of it or whatever now is like meant to be like, oh, that's pretty, whatever, like we should take another like fancy brand and turn that into the next one. Let's create it right now.
Sorry,
what is it gonna be?
It was what's Gucci, which is just like a hey, what's up? Hey, what's good? Whatever.
Yeah, hey, what's good? So like
what's Gucci? I'm like, that's a very specific question.
So what's our new one? We're gonna make it right now, guys. So instead of what's Gucci, we're gonna say what's,
I don't know. We're just basically using like verb replacement at this point, and it's just
what's Arby's fam?
What's Arby's fam?
Everyone loves Arby's. What's Arby's?
Arby's. So those are some bad things that we've experienced. There's got to be some upside to getting old, right? Because I don't want everything downhill from here. We have to have some upside on this.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of upsides, I think. So one that I've experienced personally. Is I feel like we were talking about, the grouchy old man and like not accepting things. But my experience is actually that the older you get, the more accepting people are in general. And I was actually reading this today when I was trying to finalize the quiz for this episode. Like one of the things they were saying is like people who turn into the stereotypical grouchy old men, that doesn't come out of nowhere. They're like that their whole lives. And it just grows and grows and grows. It's not like, you have the world's most patient, nicest person, and then one day he's like, shit, I'm 80, get off my lawn. Like that's not really going to happen. But yeah, so I find in general, like people tend to be more accepting. 'Cause like when I started working at Target, I was 23, so late college age. And I found people in general at my age to be still pretty judgmental, like we were in middle school and high school. And I remember like one time, like myself and another coworker, I think we were just geeking out over Harry Potter. And like this other girl was like, oh my God, I can't believe you guys admitting that you like Harry Potter at your age. Like, you know, and she's like, you need to be interested in more adult things. And her only interests were wine, and she was about to have a baby with a guy that she'd broken up with. So I'm like, you don't have any interest, like you don't understand. But like fast forward like 4 years from then, and like people quit caring. And that's one of the things that I like is like, for the most part, even if I encounter adults who don't have the same interests I do, they're not sitting there being like, you shouldn't be interested in that. They're just like, oh, like it's really neat that that's what you do, and then this is what I do.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I definitely can see that.
Right attached to that. Yeah, it's just, I like that we have the ability as we are older, we get to just choose the people we like to hang out with. And it's not socially unacceptable to be, you know, when you're 14, like it's socially unacceptable, not like to a whole society, but your older 14-year-olds are going to be like, what, you hanging out with a 10-year-old? Oh, what a lose. You got to hang out with like there's at least I felt that way. I felt that way when people would like if I was hanging out with a kid or my little cousin, like, oh, you're hanging out with your 8-year-old cousin this week. Oh, that's so dumb. There's a lot more of that. And you're so stuck in I'm going to hang out with people in my own grade and in my own little circle. And then it's just, as we get older, I just like that you start meeting more people, and there's no one cares. Like you can have a 10, 15 year age gap between you and the person next to you, and it doesn't matter because you've kind of got to a point where it just grayed out for like what the hell's happening in life that would really keep two people together and sitting there talking, to where it's not just because of circumstance that you're together and you're talking to each other because you actively like talking to that person. So I feel even though the quantity of relationships goes down, the quality of all of them like is heightened, each and every one of them, because it's like, yeah, I'm not going to spend time talking to this person because they're vapid and it just is not any fun trying to carry on a conversation when all they throw out there is Kardashian every other 10th word. So it's just, I'm out.
What do you like about it, Burke?
Oh, I'm agreeing with Craig completely. Like that's the fact. You know, like I have a couple good friends, and we've met them because of circumstance, whether that's work or doing something like that. But that's not my whole world. Like high school is. Where else are you going to go as a kid to get other social experiences? You know, I guess you could go to church or, you know, other like, you know, sporting events. But for the most part, school is where your zone is. You know, here as an adult, if I wanted to go make friends out tonight, I'm sure I could just go across the street to the bar and hang out and, you know, meet some cool people. I don't care. I have good friends I'm talking to
preschool, Burke.
Yeah.
I can just go across the street and make some friends.
It's on the other side of the preschool. I just have to walk a little bit further.
Gotcha.
But I think they would like me, right?
I'm sure.
Okay.
Sandbox.
But yeah, like I mean, like the ability to just go anywhere, and you know that way you can, you know, you're not going to go get judged when you walk into, you know, the tabletop gaming store. You know, you're like, oh, he's one of those guys in high school. Now you're just like, dude, hey man, I'm John. What have you done? Blah 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 blah. And you're like, this is awesome. Yeah, so I love that kind of being able to go, this is where I really kind of fit in, and I don't have to be an outcast socially. You know.
Yeah. No, I agree with you guys for sure. The thing that came to my mind though, first I should say, is honestly I'm going to use the term wisdom because there's no other way to really quantify it, you know, and it's, I mean, plus an excuse to use a D&D term. But the point is that it's basically like you understand more now than you ever have before. And that's just through of time. You know what I mean? Like, you know, just basically as time goes on, you learn more and more about everything. And the more you're interested in something, it's not just like a surface level. Like when I was a kid, I liked Sonic the Hedgehog because he's blue and he ran fast, right? But then, you know, say as an adult, you can take another subject and be like, okay, I like this, but why? And just deep dive on it. You can be, you know, you're smarter about the whole thing. On top of that, you have the unique perspective of having experiences in your life. I'd say so. And those unique perspectives, they allow you to look back and like, you know, draw from your own experiences and like kind of, I don't know, like basically it just makes you feel better about doing anything. Like I like strategy games now more than I ever have when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I used to be like, oh man, it's all first person shooters and oh man, it's all whatever. Now, I don't know. I'm like I like them, but I like if there's a tactical aspect and it's like that kind of thing, you know? So I don't know, for me, I'm going to use the term wisdom.
And you know, we could even take that back to last week. And when we were talking about Star Wars, you know, think about your first, you're like, oh my God, lightsabers, lasers, all this shit, you know, Ewoks, you know, and now we're just like, dude, the story, the depth, you know, of the universe and, you know, just in that knowledge and how much expanded and how much we got into it. So yeah, I get you on that, man.
I think that we're lucky too in our generation because I feel like our generation has had the opportunity that some others previously haven't, that a lot of things that we're into have grown with us, whereas like people prior like didn't have that. You know, and it's not that things in the world weren't changing, it's just that like, you know, they didn't have one specific thing that grew with them, if that makes any sense. Like as we got older, video games got deeper and more expansive, and we grew into it. And, you know, I would say even to an extent, somewhat, you know, TV shows and movies have as well.
I'd agree with that.
You look at older cartoons versus newer cartoons. Like older cartoons, like don't get me wrong, I still enjoy them. I still have fond memories, but their plots were pretty surface level, like not really deep there. But then like newer cartoons will go a lot deeper into things now, and we got to grow up with that where other people didn't. So I think that's something that's unique to our generation, and I think that's why even our generation is more open and accepting than previous ones were.
You know, actually that cartoon thing made me laugh because I'm comparing in my head like a cartoon of today, like Adventure Time, versus like something like Wacky Races that we would watch from the you know what I mean, like
Wacky Races, bringing that
and
back
the thing
again.
is, it's like Adventure Time is pretty stupid at times,
stupid,
but then other times
so
you're just like, at other times you're just like, wow, like
it literally, you know, it's like this is about a post-apocalyptic world. What? Like, you know, it's just your mind gets blown.
Well, I mean, I can't remember the exact scene of it, because I never actually watched Teen Titans, the cartoons, whatever the official names of those were, but I remember just seeing a clip of it. And it was like they made this entire allegory towards like racism, but they made it with Cyborg and how like people were against robots. And like it was just this massive thing where I'm like kids will be able to start picking up on that later on, where like you said, we were just watching people race and like the bad guy was trying to beat people up and shit. And that was it. They're getting all this other stuff that's so much deeper than what we got. And I think it's good that we're getting older because our generation is starting to try and tell those tales in a different way for our kids to or the next generation to understand and kind of like pick up on, so they can see these things like, okay, this is bad, you don't want to do that, this is how this is making these people feel, and this is how this is happening. I really like that. You bringing that up just made me think of that, Michelle, and I really enjoyed that portion of of growing older with the cartoons there.
So we're all in agreement that we're all wise as hell.
Yes.
Of
We're all
course.
becoming much, much wiser.
I mean, that's one of the reasons that people at work, like, they literally call me Mama Michelle, and that's why, because like some of them, like, I'm only maybe a year older, but because I've had a variety of experiences that they have not, they'll come to me with like, hey, like,
sure,
you know, what would you do in this kind of situation? And I either have an answer or I'm pretty good at making one up.
Yeah.
And though there's definite times that I complain about it, some of the adulting things is kind of fun. Just being able to, like, whatever. If I want to sit the whole day out, like, obviously not like neglect responsibilities and shit like that, but with my free time, it doesn't matter. It's me and my wife will make the decision of what we're going to do that day. Like, fuck you guys. We're not going to go through and do some other stuff. You have complete control over your life to a point. You know, you've got to take care of responsibilities, but past that, it's just It's like
Mhm.
you don't have it just as a kid, you're scheduled based on like schooling and other things that are happening, and you've got all this stuff. But it's just like, no, I'm gonna go work.
And you also participate in stuff somewhat willingly, but other times
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, I'm doing this because my parents are making me.
Yeah, or like we've said before, we're friends with people purely because of our circumstance of being around them constantly every single day. So you end up going and doing the thing to hang out with your friends, and it's like, well, that's really not all that fun. But now we're going, we've picked our own friends. We're going to do the things with our own friends that we want to really go do. We're kind of just we're being able to choose the best for what's there for us out of the situations we have comparatively to like these are the only things we have. It's the only stuff we can do. Or at least I felt that way, where it's just like there was like a path that I kind of had to take and do these things. And
Sure.
now it's like, whatever. I don't care. I'm gonna do what I want to do.
You went from a traditional Zelda to Breath of the Wild.
In a sense, yes.
So, and you know, as much as like, you know, work is work, you have to do it to get money, blah, blah, blah. Like, and then you have bills to pay and all that shit. But like that leftover money, knowing it's mine, you know, or my wife and I's, you know, whatever, like I get to go do with it what I want. If, you know, if I want to go out on a weekend, yeah, sure, I can. If I want to buy a new Xbox every other weekend, I would be broke. But yeah, like I could, you know, and get into super debt. But you know, like we have those options. We're in America, capitalism. You know, buy what you want. But no, anyways. But like being able to just do that and have fun, and you know, and not have this measly or whatever if you got an allowance. I didn't even get an allowance, so
I didn't.
yeah. So it was like, you know, it was one of those. If, you know, I work because I want to have fun, and, you know, I don't hate my job. I'm not doing like the worst thing in the world either. So yeah, I could go, you know, do what I really want and be a ski bum, but I like the lifestyle I've chosen for myself. And
Sure.
oh yeah, I mean, like being able to make those big choices and not have, you know, I guess, you know, we're influenced by everything around us, but not have like, you know, your parents making your own decision, making a decision for you or influencing it heavily.
So let me ask this this question here, and this might take us up to the quiz. We'll see. If I had a magic wand, okay, and right now I could go whoop, 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 wave the magic wand, and you could be 7 years old again, okay? But here's the kicker: you do not get to retain any of the memories, and you're not picking up from when you were actually 7. You're picking up from right now in time in this timeline here. At 7 years old, okay?
So basically, you're transporting your 7-year-old self to here and destroying your current self.
And destroying your current self.
Got it.
Right? So you can either do that, or you can keep things the way they are right now, as and just keep going. But granted, here's the deal: you'd be 7 years old, so you technically get a little extra time on that clock, and you get to do it all over again. Would you want to do it? Remember,
No.
you keep not keeping any of your memories. So
No,
no.
not at all.
No? So, what about you, Craig?
There's only one reason I would say yes.
Okay.
And it's the one where you said, you know, you're starting back over at 7 now. So my lifespan is going to go forward.
Yeah, it is.
That is the one thing that I like out of that is that like, hey, I'm going to go to the future and I'm one step closer to being able to live forever because we're going to cure the aging shit. And at our stage, we're probably right on the cusp where it might not happen and we might be old and live forever.
They've been
but
talking about curing aging forever.
What'd you say?
I go, they've been talking about curing aging forever. They're never going to figure that shit out.
I'd give it like 40 or 50 years. But I would have to say probably no overall because of, like I said, I feel like I'm not going to actually be healed back to youthfulness if they do cure aging. So I like the time that we grew up in. No, actually, I gotta go with starting over. I want to live forever. I want to be a vampire and live forever.
So wait, you're going to take the deal?
I'm taking the deal now. Yeah, I'm taking the deal.
Wow.
I gotta get closer to that live forever.
You do realize that the fountain of youth is a myth, right?
Yes, fountain of youth is a myth.
Okay.
Science is not a myth. We're going to live forever at one point,
I
or we'll
do not
destroy
think
the planet beforehand. There's one of the
I was like,
one of
that's
those
more
options
likely.
are happening.
That's more likely than
well, I'm not
the
saying
live
we couldn't
forever
die.
thing.
If someone stabs you, you're still going to bleed out, but you're just not going to age to death.
You're basically thinking that we're going to have the alpha rules, more or less. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. I
about
wouldn't
you, Brian?
take it. No, hell no.
Okay.
Hell no. It's this. Are you kidding me? I grew up in during the 90s, the greatest decade in the history of mankind.
Yeah, I just can't take that. I can't take that argument because every single person.
I know. They're going to say theirs.
I would
is
say
the
a
best.
vast
I know.
majority
I know.
would say like, well, no, mine was great because I grew up when all this was just starting out. Like the argument I would have is we are one of the last generations to experience things before the internet. Like we were old enough to get what life was like before the internet, going to libraries and doing research like in actual books and stuff like that. And then we got
calling someone with an actual number keypad and using a phone book to find the number.
and we get to appreciate the like quickness that we have a computer in our pockets at all times where we can look up whatever we want. But every single generation has that. You know, there's the generation that was like, well, yeah, remember when we had to use telegrams? Now you got your radio that you can listen to things. And there's like it's every generation kind of has that same exact thing.
Let's go even further back, like we're talking like 1600s in the Dark Ages, where there wasn't much growth in humanity. I think that's an exception, but. But yeah, I had to point out the one exception. That was my only point there.
Like, you lived to age 30? Are you ancient?
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah. So
okay.
So
all right.
So speaking of, I guess wisdom, lay some on us, Michelle.
I don't know how much of this is actually related to wisdom.
Damn it! That transition.
I
We're gonna back up and try to do that again. Michelle. No, I was just kidding.
So, all of the questions are actually just about record-setting old people.
Damn it. I thought it was going to be like you were just going to give us all the different side effects of medications and we had to guess which one it was. I'm going to be on that one day.
Every one of them has constipation as a side effect, so I'm just gonna put that down.
Both constipation and diarrhea.
Both.
Depression, suicidal tendencies.
Yep.
Bleeding. Yeah, very sure.
Yeah, internal breathing.
Heart failure.
Demonic possession.
Cancer.
It's like, what was this pill for again?
AIDS.
You're like, you have a runny nose. We're trying to cure that.
Tendency to run with scissors. It's like, these are awfully specific.
But yeah, so
I had a vision of it's like fast forward 2 days, Brian sprinting the scissors. He's like, damn you, lisinoprolol.
Lisinoprolol. Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, so
things just went downhill really
the
quickly.
drug company's got dunked on. Just end the podcast here.
Brian, too early again. So the order is going to be Craig, Burke, and Brian.
Okay, we might have to rotate because they're literally all numbered
That's fine.
questions.
All right, well, yeah. Okay, fair enough.
So in the interest of fairness, I would say we would rotate.
All right.
We can start with that order though.
I'll try to keep up.
And then everyone will just consistently move up a place.
I'll try to keep up.
Okay. The thing is, it's a very short quiz. Emergency made, so. But yeah, so they're all about record-setting old people because these are people who did not take age as like a bad thing. That's what I took out of this. And all of them are according to the Guinness Book of World Records as their official rulings. All right, so the first one we have, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, how old did the oldest living person ever make it to?
126.
114.
111.
Okay, so Craig is the closest. She made it to 122 years, 164 days.
Wow.
Damn, that's a good run.
Yeah. I was reading a little bit about her, and she was pretty much just like the key to living longer is to live happy. So she was saying, don't be crotchety old men because
wait,
that's
the
when
key
you
is
start
happiness? Shit. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds cliche, but I think in theory it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The world's oldest gymnast, female, was how old when she set her record in 2012?
92.
82.
50.
All right, Brian's closest this time. She was 86 years old.
Yes. Shit.
as far as I can tell, she's still an active gymnast. This is a few years ago, but yeah, she, just keeps up with it.
Okay. It's like, that's...
All right. The world's oldest biological father, so somebody who created a child, was how old at the time of the child's birth?
Oh, no. I guess 82. I'm going to say it again.
I'm going to say 96.
I was going to go with 100.
Okay, Craig's going to be closest again there. He was 92 years and 10 months old.
What?
Making babies. And I think the mother was like 60 something, I think I was reading. So she was up there too.
There's a lot of questions on how this all turned out.
At what age was the record set for the oldest male bungee jumper?
Oh, Lord. Let's
That was
go
recently.
2010 is when it's from.
Man, I thought maybe it was a skydiver that I was thinking of. Sorry.
76.
The oldest bungee jumper? I mean, that's not really too physically intensive beyond just they push you, and say it
And
could
your
be
back
good.
pops, and you get taller.
It could be
again.
a lot of things there.
And you have
so
a heart attack on the way down.
I'll say 86.
I'm gonna go with 91.
All right, Burke's closest. He was 96 years old when he
Good
took that bungee jump.
for
I
him.
believe that was in South Africa is where it took place. The skydiver
Wow.
thing was recent. That's not on here,
Okay.
Burke. I was reading about him, though. That was pretty recent. He's like 103 or something
Yeah.
and like jumping out of planes.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Holy shit!
And he's had like I was even reading too, like that guy, the skydiver, he's been missing some organ or something for like 30 years now. And he has like a bag and he's still jumping out of planes.
Crazy.
He's missing an organ, and so he has a bag hanging out of him, and he's jumping
it's
out
like
of planes.
his liver or something, like where he has like it's I'll have to look it up and show you guys. He's crazy, but he's living life. He's 100 and whatever, and he's living life.
Yeah, I guess so.
John Glenn is the record holder for oldest male astronaut to go into space. How old was he when he set this record?
72.
68.
76.
Ooh, Craig is very close. He was 77.
Damn.
I knew it was
the
around
last time
there.
that he went into space, yes.
77 years
Sports
old.
players have a very different age for retirement than most of us. How old was Matt Stover, the oldest player in Super Bowl history, during Super Bowl 44?
I'm going to say 42.
I'm gonna say 49.
I'm going to say 52.
Craig nailed it right on the head.
What?
He was 42 years, 11 days old. He was playing for the Colts, and they defeated the New Orleans Saints that year.
Yeah, because I know Brady's pretty close, and he's like 39 or 40 now. And I know that Stover was only a couple years older than him at that point.
Dang.
As of August 2017, so this one's a little more recent, the world's oldest active fighter pilot, who hails from Australia, is how old?
Let's go with 63.
God damn it, that was my answer. 64.
I think it's 65.
Actually,
fucked.
it is 65.
Yeah, you knew it.
Yeah. He's about 65 and a half years old and is still in active duty as a fighter pilot.
Good for him.
The world's oldest female astronaut was how old when she went into space?
Oh, she was 68.
55.
I'm gonna go way low on this one and go 48.
All right, Burke was very close. It was 56, just shy of 57.
You son of a bitch. I was thinking about saying 59, but I was like, I don't want to edge Burke out and be like that dick constantly. So I was like, I'm gonna go low.
I've been in the middle a lot this game.
Yeah, you have. So since this quiz was designed initially for two people in mind, I had an even number of questions, and that's about all I came up with that I found relatively interesting. So I do have a tiebreaker question, but I don't think we're gonna need it.
We shouldn't, but let's do it anyway.
Okay. The first answer to this is gonna get this point. What is the best thing that is likely to happen to Craig's body as he gets older?
it deteriorates and withers and dies.
No. The best thing that's going to happen to his body as he gets older, he's going to lose his mind and he's going to forget all of us. We don't have to talk to him anymore.
No. That's a good one. The best part is he's going to lose all his weight, become anorexic, and shrivel up and die that way.
Interesting.
Okay, you are all incorrect. The answer is generally as you get older, you quit sweating.
What?
So Craig,
Oh, there's an answer to this question. I thought this was just literally like, let's roast Craig.
This is legitimate. Like somewhere down the line, because your sweat glands literally like, you know, pretty much deteriorate and go away as you get older. That's why old people are always cold and stuff. You will quit sweating at some point. So I thought that would be a bright spot for your future.
That is a very bright spot for my future.
Congrats.
Forget going back to 7.
happen
I'll
when
start
you're
sweating all
105.
over again.
Are you serious? I thought that was a joke question.
No, I was trying to look up things that were like legitimate things about aging to try to work with that, and
Right.
that was one of the more interesting things I found. The rest of it was mostly like, you know, hey, like if you continue to actively think and actively try to do things, your body won't break down, which is to me just pretty much common sense. Like, you know, yeah, of course you're gonna get stupid when you quit thinking, but that one I thought was really interesting though, that like you just literally at some point will basically quit sweating.
That is cool.
That is cool.
I'm gonna send you picture messages when I'm 74 and I'm still sweating like a fucking pig and be like, you liar. You lied to
You're
me.
gonna hold a grudge for 47 years here.
Yes, I will.
Well, don't worry, I'm the old grouchy man. Will be dead by then. So, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's my intent to live forever also, so.
There you go. So let's go with who got last, and that would be with a whopping 2 points me.
Oh.
And
I mean, 2 out of 8's not bad.
yeah,
Quarter of them
I
right.
think I know who won this one, and it was not me.
you were correct.
Yeah.
Brian
Yeah, Craig,
came in
you
second
did really
with 3.
well.
Yeah, Craig got, he got the 2 points because he got the on the nose on one of those, and so do you, Brian. So it would have been 4. It would have been 4, 2, and 2. But yeah, nice.
Congratulations, you know the most about being old, Craig.
And are
Yay!
you no, you're not the youngest.
I'm not the youngest.
No, you're not.
No,
That would be
Brian
me.
is the youngest.
That goes to old Blondie over there.
That's my secret with the blonde hair. I can hide my grays forever.
I
You'll
thought for
never
sure,
know.
Burke, you were just about to be like, and you're the oldest. I'm like, you son of a bitch, you know that's not right.
I was like, wait, no, he's not. Yeah,
You know you're older than me.
I know.
Aw, poor Berg.
Yeah, I get the most grays in my beard and my hair. My wife keeps reminding me.
Oh,
God, I
Mhm.
had so many people over Thanksgiving tell me, like, oh, look at all those grays in your beard. I'm like, yep.
Thanks.
the next day he just shaves his beard. Just
Nope, actually, I shaved my head.
Yeah, I've actually been enjoying getting grays because people take me more seriously now.
sure,
At, at the office. Yeah.
I said, I just go gray now. Like, I wish it would just all go gray now, and then it looks like I won't age. Like Steve
No.
Martin looks like he never aged.
Yeah,
Oh, that's true. That's true.
The one thing that made me feel old the other day is, and I mean, I went a pretty long time, so I'm pretty proud of this. I didn't get ID'd for the first time in my life 2 days ago.
I was waiting for her to say that. She's like, I felt old the other day, and she was going to tell a story. I'm like, she's like, I slipped and fell, and hit my life alert. And it's like, I just felt so old having to press the button. Help! Help! I've got dunked on and I can't get up. Dunked on and I can't get up.
Oh, that was great. That was freaking great. I like how half of our things, when I have to cut things out at the end of the podcast, half of them are me. Like beforehand, it was like, yeah, we got dunked on, and we'd go silent, and it was like like clean. And now it's every time I'm having to fucking cut out all of us laughing right in the middle of it. I'm using that as the end. That was too fucking perfect as the end.
That was awesome.
I started laughing in the middle of it because you're like, I was just imagining you, Brian, because you know how my mind goes on this stuff. You're like, when I was a kid, I really liked Sonic because he was blue and he was fast. It's in my head. You're like, well, now I like other things because they've got like this nice deep story of why he's blue and he goes fast. and then you just start speeding off singing Sonic. You're like, shout it!
You can really move. Yeah.
Like it just caught me in such a way I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh god.
You're not as bad as Ebenezer though.